All right. I made it. Made it a little bit early tonight, actually, a minute or two early, and I see we got people here already early, so good evening to you guys. Who's that? Boris and Cockeyed Homestead, Brad Smith, and William Stafford. Thanks for joining, guys. I appreciate that. And let's see, I say I'm live right now, but I'm not sure if you guys can see me yet. Okay, it looks like we're getting going now. All right, let's give it a minute here to everybody get set up. There we go. All right, so I'm in Central Time, 7 o'clock Central is when I do the live broadcast, generally on Thursday evenings. Sometimes things get in the way. I try to notify you guys on the community tab here if it does. Can't always do that. A couple of weeks ago I missed and just wasn't able to get on there and actually tell you. What else was I going to say about that? Oh, again, the live broadcast, this is an Ask Me Anything session, so ask me whatever you want to ask me. I do my best to respond to all the comments that come in on the chat, the live chat itself. Don't spam us with comments. Ask your question. If you see that I've gone past your question and I'm answering somebody else's or responded to somebody else's comments or something like that, you can ask it again, but don't just spam us with comments. Don't be rude, don't be hateful, be family friendly, don't start cussing, no racial stuff, no political stuff. We'll kick you out if we have to. But other than that, we're good to go. Ask me pretty much anything you guys want to ask me. All right, where we at here? J-Bid says, how soon after roosters start to crow can I expect eggs, and how long after they start to lay can I incubate the eggs? Good question. Usually your roosters will start crowing long before your hens will start laying eggs. I say long before, maybe a week. Usually the hens start laying pretty soon after the roosters start crowing. As far as, a week and a half, something like that, you're usually, that's usually what you're going to expect from that. As far as how long to wait before you can start incubating the eggs, I usually give them about 2 weeks before I consider the fertility good. You can check the fertility. It's not that hard to do. Just as you're collecting eggs, just plan on eating the first, week and a half worth of eggs or whatever. But as you break them open, cut them open, dump them out in a bowl, look at the egg yolk. There should be a little white dot on it, and that white dot indicates that it's a mature egg. It could be fertilized. That doesn't mean it is fertilized. What you're looking for is a faint bullseye ring around that white dot. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to see, but most of the time you're going to be able to see it. So whenever you get to a point where, 75 to 80% of your eggs have an obvious, little bullseye ring around that white dot on the yolk, you can consider them all fertile. Again, that usually I would say 2 weeks after they start laying is a good time to do that. All right, Helen says, hey, Chris, good morning from Australia. Good morning, huh? It's evening time here, but any ideas why quail chicks pip, zip, but then die without actually emerging? Yeah, there's several reasons that could happen. It could have to do with humidity. If your humidity is way too high, they basically drown in the shell once they pip the egg because, as they start to hatch, that's going to naturally increase a little bit of the humidity in your incubator. It could be the humidity way too low. And when I say way too high, that's going to be like 80%, 85%. That's anything over about 80% is too high. That can cause them to drown in their shell. Now, you'll probably know that that's the case because you'll have water like dripping off the glass in the incubator. I mean, you'll know the humidity is way up there. Humidity too low can be another cause for that. Can cause them to almost shrink wrap inside their shell. That's going to be something below about 40% humidity, somewhere right around in there. If your temperature's off in your incubator a little bit and you're maybe running, maybe it says it's 100 degrees in there, but it's actually 98 or 99, just a little bit on the low side, that causes the chicks to maybe develop a little bit slower, and therefore they don't have enough energy, don't have enough strength really to get all the way out of the eggshell. Could be genetic issues causing that. If you've got too much calcium in the birds' diets, they need about 1.5 to 2% calcium. If you've got too much in their diet, then that can cause the eggshells to be a little bit extra thick, and that can make it difficult for the eggs to pip and get out of the shell. I know I just gave you a whole slew of things that can kind of cause that. I always start with the simplest thing. The simplest thing is going to be check your thermostat on your incubator, make sure it's accurate. Just get a couple of calibrated non-digital thermometers, make sure you calibrate them, make sure they're accurate first, throw them in your incubator, turn it on, and see what they read compared to what your incubator's reading. And I would say get 2 of them, that way if you've got one thermometer in there and it reads different than the incubator, well, you don't know, is the incubator right or is the thermometer right, even though I calibrated it? If you've got 2 thermometers in there and they're both reading the same, you can pretty much bet that's the right temperature, and then compare that to what your incubator is reading. Now, there's no way to really, adjust the thermostat on the incubator. You just have to kind of know, like if you got it set to 100 degrees, and you're probably Celsius, but what is that, 30, so I don't know, 30 something in Celsius. But, if you've got it set to 100 degrees and the thermometers inside say that it's 98 degrees, you know that it's running 2 degrees too cold. So you need to bump it up to 102 degrees when you incubate your birds. Now, what I would do is bump it up 2 degrees and then read your thermometers inside. So you know that when it says 102 on there, it's actually 100. And that's the temperature I need to incubate at. So that's the easiest thing. Next thing would be humidity, of course. Just make sure you're not, don't add too much water when it's time to go into lockdown. Any of those kinds of things. So hopefully that helps. All right. William says, never rooster don't lay. What? Oh, never. Roosters don't lay. Okay, I get it now. Yeah, type that one quick and got some typos in there. I do worse than that, though. So, yeah, that's you got a good joke in to J Bid there. Hey, Cockeyed Homestead, how are you? Verna says, hello, everyone. Good to see you, Chris. Thank you. Good to see you guys. Rhonda says, hello, how's your wife doing? Hope all is well with you and your family. Thank you so much. My wife's doing really well. We've got a doctor's appointment coming up in St. Louis. We got to drive all the way to St. Louis, which is it's about a 5-hour drive. Got to drive up there, have a doctor's appointment, drive back, just for some testing and things like that. But not too worried about it. Nothing. Don't know anything to be worried about. Just the doctors here were just a little bit. This one is a second opinion. We don't know the details of it yet, so we're going to be going on that here next week. So any prayers for that would be great, especially just prayers for her comfort and peace and those kinds of things, because she's a little bit nervous about it. But me, I don't tend to worry about much of anything until I have a reason to worry, and it's not a reason to worry yet. But other than that, she's doing great. Cancer's pretty much gone. Hasn't had any problems with that. Had to have her tonsils taken out a couple of weeks ago, but recovered nicely from that. She's over that, so everything's going well. Thank you for your concern, Rhonda. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys are doing well on your new property as well. I know that was something you had worked a long time for, and congratulations on getting it. All right, Verna says, hit the thumbs up, people. Thank you, Verna. I appreciate that. Ricky, is there anything special you need to do raising Cornish cross? I just got 20 of them today. Not much. They're pretty easy, really. What I do, free feed them for the first 2 weeks, or 2.5, 3 weeks before they go out to the brooder, before they go out to the grow out pen, which is about 2 weeks because they'll be fully feathered out pretty much by that point. Once you move them out there after the first 2 weeks, then you're only going to want to feed them 12 hours a day, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. So just, take the food to them in the morning, take it away from them at night. You don't want them sitting there eating all the time because they will just grow too fast. That's about it. Give them plenty of fresh water. That's it. There's nothing special you have to do with them. They're pretty easy to take care of. So don't be surprised. Oh, look at that. I got a $2 super chat from J Bid. I think that's who it is. No comments or anything for me to answer. Just a $2 super chat. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. It's very generous of you. He does have a question next. Anyway, hopefully I answered your question about the Cornish cross. Pretty easy. There's not really a whole lot special you have to do with them. All right, J-Bid says, Chris, why don't you tell me to get quail, or why didn't you tell me to get quail before I got chickens and ducks? I really enjoy the quail. You've been very helpful. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I don't know, I can't tell you not to get chickens or ducks or, whatever. Some people really prefer the chickens, but I don't know. I kind of like having the quail. Grab a drink here. All right, Fred says, let's see, I had 48 of 50 jumbo brown hatch out of a Humidity. Awesome. Very good hatch rate. Congratulations and well done. Rhonda said, I should be having a doe having kits on the 19th of next month. Very excited. Good. Good luck with that. Hopefully it goes well. Excuse me. Brandon says, the armadillos finally found our garden last week. Caught 2 last night in the traps. They really shouldn't hurt your garden much. In fact, they might be actually good to have around your garden, assuming they're not actually rooting up your plants. They tend to eat grubs and things like that would be damaging to your plants and things. So, but if they're actually causing damage to your plants and some of those kinds of things, I understand they can be that way. I haven't had that problem. We do have an armadillo that lives around here. I haven't seen him in a long time, but I see evidence of him. I see the holes he digs. And they're just little holes, not a big deal. He's not doing any damage to anything. I just hope he's eating all the Japanese beetle grubs. I haven't seen any this year, so I don't know. I know other people have. I haven't. All right. Who is this? Saint Fornaris, I think it is. Lost another quail, and I was wondering if you've ever seen your quail kill each other, and if so, what do the wounds look like? Are they like a small hole on the head or the side of the chest, etc.? I have seen quail kill each other. Usually, it's pretty obvious because they do quite a bit of damage, especially around the eyes. That's generally where they're focused, around the face and the eyes of other birds. So, I know I've seen them where they peck their eyes out basically and beat them all up. They've got scars and open wounds all over their head and stuff like that. It's usually not just a tiny little hole, but who knows? They may have hit it just right and just one blow did that. You say you lost another one, so that makes me think that it's a common occurrence. If it is common, you should be seeing the damage to your birds long before they die. Like I said, usually it's around their head that they're going to be pecking at each other and beating them up around their eyes. You'll see their eyes get swollen up. Might see scars around their cheeks and scratches and open wounds there. Loss of feathers around their face and their sides of their heads and stuff like that. And if you're seeing that, you might want to kind of pay attention. See if you can find the bird that's the culprit, the main culprit, and get rid of that bird. Call that bird out of your flock. Sorry you lost one. Sometimes it just happens. You don't know why for sure. All right. Fred said also had 8 rabbits born. Awesome. Congratulations on that too. Hello to you. Is it Kinjai? I think I got that right. William says, is that a Hatch Poultry shirt? And do you still endorse them? Yes, it is a Hatch Poultry shirt. And yeah, I still endorse them. They've been great to deal with so far for me. I will say something. Hatch Poultry is dealing with the same thing every hatchery and supplier is going to be dealing with right now is they're getting inundated with orders. So they're probably a little bit back ordered, a little bit behind on getting orders shipped. If you're ordering from a hatchery right now, this time of year, this is the time of year everybody orders from hatcheries and things. So just kind of expect that. Don't blame them too much if they're, a little bit back ordered or it takes a little while to get to you. But they've been great to deal with. And I know they've been quick to try to respond to any issues that the customers I know have had with them. And I think Dalton's a great guy. I still endorse them. I still think they're a great supplier. All right, today is tomorrow's memories. Good username there. It says, good day, Chris. One of my jumbo chicks looks to have it developed wry neck. Is there anything I can do or should I do? Love from Australia. I was wondering if you were from Australia, starting off with good day. I know I don't pronounce it right, but I'm an American. What do you expect? What are we at here? Jumbo chicks developed wry neck. Now, when you're saying chicks, I'm assuming that's a young chick in the brooder box. That's, if it's happened to an older bird, that's a different thing. That's an indication of probably some kind of vitamin deficiency. More than likely, it's going to be vitamin E and thiamine. Those are the two vitamins that you're going to want to look at introducing to your birds if it's an older bird. If it's a young chick, especially like 2-day old, right out of the incubator, there's a lot of different reasons that could be happening. It's very hard to correct, in my opinion. I haven't had good success with doing it. You can try to give them vitamin supplements. Like I said, thiamine, vitamin E. You look for something that's water soluble. You can just add to their water, and that might help a little bit with it. But I have not had good luck with fixing wry neck in the birds that I've had. That's about the only thing I know to do. Give them a day or two. Sometimes they'll work it out, but most of the time I find that it's a lost cause. And I believe personally that it tends to be kind of a genetic thing. It's just a genetic defect of some time that causes it. If you can't get it corrected within a week or something like that, my personal opinion is to call that bird out. You don't want to pass those genes on. That's just how I personally think about it. All right. Kinjay says, I have a rabbit, 10-year. A 10-year-old rabbit. Wow, that's an old one. Good job. Brad says, did you turkey hunt any this year? I did turkey hunt this year. No luck. I didn't even hear a turkey. We saw one turkey the last day of the season. It was a hen, and it was walking across the field as we were walking out, giving up for the season. And that was it. No turkey this year. Conservation Department warned that it was going to be a rough year for turkey hunting. They were right. We didn't see any. But there's always next year. All right. Musage Creations, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, says, hey, getting into raising rabbits, what are some things that I should remember and keep in mind when starting out? Wow, that's a big question. It's so broad. Let's see, what could you remember when you're starting off with rabbits? Okay, if you're going to get into rabbits, you're going to start breeding rabbits. The one thing I would say is don't stress too much when it comes to your first litter. Put a nest box in a couple of days before she's due. They're usually about 30 days after they're bred is when they're due. You won't think she's pregnant probably. She won't show any signs of being pregnant. They don't tend to gain a lot of weight. So you're going to be looking at her the whole time thinking, I don't even think she's pregnant. But a couple of days before she's ready to give birth, before 30 days anyway, go ahead and put your nest box in. Watch her real close for the next couple of days, especially once she starts hay stashing, which is that running around with hay sticking out both sides of her mouth, or if you see pulled fur. That's a good indication that it's going to happen that night, the next day, whatever. Try to be close by when she has her first litter just to make sure that she has them in the nest box. If she doesn't, if she has them on the cage floor, pick them up, put them in the nest box. And don't worry about her abandoning them. She's not going to. You'll probably never see her feed them. It's okay. It's normal. They don't tend to pay much attention to their babies except for when they feed them. And they tend to do that when nobody's around. So those would be the things I would say. Keep your doe and your buck separate. Don't cage them together. Always take your doe to your buck. Don't ever take the buck to the doe when it's time to breed. And look at that. I got a $5 super chat from Today is Tomorrow. It says, thanks for the advice. Well, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And you're absolutely welcome for the advice. Okay, back to this. Where were we at with that? Oh, take the doe to the buck. Don't ever take the buck to the doe. Does can be very territorial. You don't ever want to throw another adult rabbit in a doe's cage. There can be a lot of fighting. Does have been known to castrate males when when it's taken that way. So don't ever do that. Take the doe to the buck. And that's my best advice on it. Other than that, keep them in the shade. Give them plenty of ventilation. I don't know. There's probably a whole lot of things I'm forgetting to mention right now, but they're not that difficult. I've got plenty of videos on rabbits, so if you have questions, I've probably answered in a video. Come back and ask me again later, and if you have a specific one, we'll do our best to get that answered too. All right, Mark says, I had a baby cottontail in my egress window. I'm not sure what an egress is. I probably should. In my egress window sill again. Usually happens once a year. Got it out and released it in the yard. Hope it survives. It probably will. Assuming something doesn't eat it, because rabbits are prey, and everything wants to eat a rabbit. But yeah, it probably will. You can pick up, that whole idea of, picking up a wild baby rabbit and the mother abandoning it, that's a farce. It doesn't happen. I'm not saying it never happens, but it's incredibly, incredibly rare. So yeah, if you see one like that and you have to rescue it out of I think what you're talking about egress is a windowsill that's down in the ground, basically. So the rabbit fell in, can't get out. So yeah, you saved it, you took it out, you put it in the yard. That's exactly what you should do with it. Wild rabbits do not do well in captivity, so it's always best to just let them go. They're fine. All right. All right. Carl King says, how do meat rabbits taste compared to wild rabbits? Very mild compared to a wild rabbit. Wild rabbits have that kind of wild game kind of taste to them, and regular domestic meat rabbits, they have a lot more meat on them, but they don't have that gamey, wild taste to them. It's a very mild meat. In fact, my personal opinion is you need to add something to rabbit when you cook it, because it doesn't have a whole lot of flavor on its own. So I think it's a good idea to add, cook it with bacon, cook it with, good seasonings, brine it, something like that to add a little bit of flavor to it, because on its own, it's kind of bland. It doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. It's not bad. It tastes very similar to chicken, just white meat chicken that doesn't have a whole lot of flavor to it, that kind of thing. It's going to be a little bit tougher probably than chicken, because it doesn't have all the fat in it that chicken does. But it's, if you've eaten wild rabbit, it is a little different. All right. Mr. Angerman says, what made you start with quail? I wanted to have egg production. I wanted to have meat production. And the only birds that I could do that with in town are quail. I can't do it with chickens because I live in town. I can't have a rooster. I can have chickens for eggs, but I can't have a rooster to fertilize the eggs, so I can't therefore incubate them and hatch out chickens. Quail are just so much easier for a small homestead or a small backyard farm or whatever. I don't really call myself a homestead. I'm not a homesteader necessarily. I just like to grow my own food, as much of it as I can. And quail are the way to go. So that was why I got into quail. All right, Salvador says, hello, Chris. Happy Father's Day from Puerto Rico. Well, thank you. Happy Father's Day to you, too. J-Bid says, is it best to wait 48 hours to open your incubator after the chicks start to hatch? Good question. You can go up to 3 days, 72 hours. I personally tend to go 24 to 48. I don't like to go much past 48, but I look in there when all the chicks are dry, all the ones that have hatched already are dry and fluffy, and I don't see any eggs that are obviously pipped, but the egg hasn't, the chick hasn't hatched yet. That's usually within 24 hours, sometimes 36, sometimes 48. So it just depends, kind of in that time frame. Then I open it up, get all the birds that have hatched, and dry and fluffy, get them out of the incubator and close it back up and wait, see what else hatches at that point. But the key is really to try to, if I come back after 24 hours after the first bird is hatched, and I can look through the window and I can see all the birds look dry and fluffy, none of the other eggs seem to be pipped, none of them are, broke their shell but haven't hatched yet, that I can tell, then I use that opportunity to go ahead and get them out. Sometimes I can look in there and see, yeah, there's an egg that looks like it's trying to hatch, but it hasn't made it out yet. So I'll wait another 12 hours, 24 hours, whatever it is, until I can kind of get to that point. Hopefully that makes sense. Excuse me. All right, Cockeyed Homestead says, Carl King, domestic meat rabbits are not as gamey. Yep, I agree. Mary Fab says, have you ever treated your rabbits for fleas or fur mites? If so, what worked for you? Well, no, I've never had fleas or fur mites on my rabbits, so I've never had to treat them. If you do, I would say that's probably a case to go with a pesticide like ivermectin or something like that. Ivermectin is probably the most common one. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I always see it written. I don't think I've ever heard it pronounced. Anyway, that's probably the most common one. You can pick that up at any farm supply store, and it will take care of fleas or fur mites. Now, if you've got fleas, that's going to be a little bit more work because, they probably, especially if you've got any kind of bedding around or anything like that, get rid of all that. Just get rid of it, sterilize the whole cage, and then, you can put bedding back in there if you want to or whatever. Even fur mites are going to be the same way. You're going to want to get rid of any kind of bedding, anything that could be holding the eggs and that kind of thing in there. But the worst I usually ever have to deal with is ear mites. It's a pretty common thing, easy to deal with, so it's not that big of a deal. Do you plan on getting, this is from Fred, do you plan on getting other animals? I got family in LaGrange, Missouri. LaGrange, I'm not sure where LaGrange is. It's probably up north or on the other side. Well, it's got to be up north. I'm in southwest Missouri. You don't get much further south than where I'm at. But anyway, no, I don't know. Maybe I'll get more animals at some point. I got to be careful. Like I said, I live in town, so I can't go too crazy here before I start drawing too much attention. But Rhonda says, prayer sent off, of course. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mark says, I hate St. Louis. Be careful. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be careful. It's a daytime appointment, so we'll be up there, get our appointment done, and be back home before, it gets too late. All right, Brad says, I done what you said and requested a new sensor for my little giant. It came in about 2 weeks later, and I've hatched about 2 hatches in it, and it's doing great. Thanks. Awesome. Glad to hear that. Yeah, that's one reason I recommend little giant incubators. I know people say, well, they're terrible. The sensors go out or the thermostats go out on them all the time. But man, they stand behind their products. You call them up with a problem and they respond very, very quickly. At least that's been my experience with them. So I think it's a great thing to say about them. All right. Jackie says, praying for you guys, Chris. God is good. Absolutely he is. And Jackie from, I think it's Jackie, isn't it? Yeah, from New Zealand. Awesome. Yes, you're right. God is good. That's why I don't worry about things. Let God worry about it. What's worse going to happen? I'm going to die. I know what's going to happen. I know where I'm going when I die. So, it could be worse. I'm not saying that I'm always the best at this, but my goal is to be like Paul that says, what does Paul say? I want to die to be with God, but I also want to be here with my people. For me to die is gain, or to live is, to die is Christ, to live is gain. Saying, he needs to be here, but at the same time, he longs to die to go to be with God and Jesus, and that's what I want to have in my life too. I'm not saying I'm the best at that, but God is good for sure. All right, Angry Man says, what made you start with quail? I think I already answered that one, didn't I? Yep, I got it. Okay. Never End Creative says, how much feed do you go through for the Cornish? Oh, they're starting to eat a lot now. They're going through, there's 24 of them. They're about 6 weeks, almost 7 weeks old. They're getting pretty big. I'll probably process a few this weekend. I don't think I'll do them all this weekend. I'll let some of them grow out a little bit longer, but I need some practice. I haven't butchered a chicken in, let's see, how old am I now? I'm 46, and I think I was probably 15 the last time I butchered a chicken, so it's been a long time. So I need some practice. I think handling a couple of them might be a good way to get the practice in, and then we'll do the rest of them maybe the next weekend or something. But anyway, they're going through the feed pretty quick now. I've got a 5-gallon bucket that I fill up with feed, and they go through 5 gallons in about 2 days. And I can fill up a 5-gallon bucket probably twice, maybe a little over from one bag of feed. So we're looking at a bag of feed lasting about 5 days, roughly, somewhere right around in there. They go through that much feed in about 5 days, and they're, like I said, 24 of them. So it's quite a bit of chicken in there. They're getting pretty good size. All right. Now before this, it wasn't too bad up until about the last week and a half. The last week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, they've really started picking up how much they're eating. Before that, it wasn't too bad. The first bag of feed lasted me 3 weeks, and then the next one was like 2 weeks, and now we're starting to get to where they're going through a bag of feed about every 4 or 5 days. All right. Cockeyed Homestead says, WTG on wife's prognosis. I'm still fighting mine. So, I didn't know that you were fighting cancer, I'm assuming. Sorry, I got something distracting me on my finger here. So, well, prayers for you, man, that you win that battle with it. Don't give up hope. It's I don't know what your prognosis looks like. I don't know, exactly what the situation is there, but try not to get too stressed out about it. Just hang in there, fight it. There's modern medicine is pretty amazing. We made significant progress in it. So there's you've got a lot of things going for you. So hang in there, man. Rhonda says, thank you, Chris. Yes, the property is turning into a farm already. Want to have a few things to help with food and etc. We got 3 of each: 3 rabbits, 3 chickens, 3 ducks, 3 pigs. We got a few things. Yeah, sounds like it. You're on your way. Good job. Got a few things to do before you get quail again. Well, that's okay. You can do those later. Renee says, what is the ideal temperature to incubate my quail eggs? I'm asking because I'm getting my jumbo quail eggs on the 17th. Well, what I would suggest is that you go back and look at my video series. If you go back to my homepage on YouTube and go under playlists, I've got a video for storing and hatching eggs. Watch that series. It'll tell you everything you need to know about hatching your quail. The ideal temperature is 100 degrees, assuming you got a forced air, an incubator with a fan in it. If it's a still air incubator, doesn't have a fan, then you want to look at 101 degrees. And that's Fahrenheit, of course. If you live in another country, you're going to have to do the conversion to Celsius yourself. But 100 degrees is the temperature you want all the time. So hopefully that answers that for you. All right. Owen says, hi, how you doing? I'm doing well, thank you. Hopefully you are too. All right. Lisa says, hi, Chris, love your show. Is there a specific brand of hydrometer you would recommend? I got one that was digital for $5 on Amazon. I don't know if it was accurate, and didn't know it was accurate until it was too late. So yeah, what you want to be able to, you're talking about a hydrometer wanting to be able to measure the humidity in your incubator. And honestly, I don't pay much attention to mine. I kind of guess at it, and as long as the windows are not fogging up too heavily, I just assume it's probably right. Digital, no matter what hydrometer you get, they're all going to be somewhat inaccurate. The only way to get really accurate humidity readings from your incubator is to do a wet dry bulb. And what that requires is basically another thermometer that you're going to run some kind of wick off of into the water reservoir of your incubator. And then you have to do some math, the difference in temperature between that and the air temperature inside the incubator, and that tells you what the humidity is, the relative humidity. So that's the only way you can get really accurate humidity readings out of your thermometer, or hydrometer, I should say. And it wouldn't be a hydrometer there, it's a couple of thermometers is what you're going to be using. As far as, I don't have a good recommendation for that. I mean, I just kind of gauge it off of the one in my incubator. I find when I add water to it, a lot of the times, the windows will fog up and there'll be, water droplets collecting on the windows. Sometimes that thing will read like 45% humidity, and I know that's not right. It's higher than that. The windows don't fog up at 45% humidity. So it's just, that's just what you deal with, unfortunately. So I just kind of do my best and guess at it. All right. Renato ONG says, good morning from Manila. Awesome. Am into rabbits. Thanks to you, Chris. What are your thoughts about intensive breeding, like breeding the dames at 15 to 30 days after delivery? I personally don't do that. I like to wait at least, and you know, the most intensive breeding I do is wait till the babies are at least 2 weeks old. Well, you said 30 days after delivery, so yeah, you could do that. 30 days after delivery is not bad. That's pretty good, actually. You're looking at the rabbits being, I'm sorry, I'm making assumptions when you say intensive breeding. 15 days after breeding is not bad either, because you got to figure it's going to take her 30 days to have babies. So if you're moving the babies off of her at 6 weeks old, then she's going to have another 2 weeks roughly if you bred her at 30 days after delivery, right? Yeah, another 2 weeks before she has another litter. So she has 2 weeks of no babies, relax, and then she can have another litter. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty close to what I do, but I do that in the fall and the winter only. I don't really tend to breed in the summer. I did one more breeding this summer and thought, it hasn't been that hot out yet. I think I can get away with one more. I've got wire nest boxes, plenty of ventilation, all those kinds of things. She did okay, but I lost 3 babies out of a litter of 7. And I think, the first one just didn't make it from the beginning. Who knows why? That happens sometimes. But the other 2, I'm pretty sure it was the heat that caused them to die. They're also growing out a little bit slower than what they normally do, and I think it's probably because it's been so hot out. So yeah, I'm going back to not breeding in the summertime. It just doesn't work well for me. All right, where are we at here? Bubba says, hello from North Carolina. Hello to you too. If I remember right, you won some free eggs a while back. Hopefully they did well. Lisa says, hi Chris, whatever happened with your one-legged quail? I watched an older video earlier. Oh, I think I probably ate that bird. I'm not sure. It's been a long time. She's not around anymore anyway. I vaguely remember that, but honestly, I've raised a lot of birds since then. I don't remember the specifics of what happened to her. All right. A. Jones says, hello from Northeast Ohio. Thanks for always helping us. Well, thanks for always joining the broadcasts and asking questions, or I wouldn't have one. So thank you. Ginger says, hello, Chris. Good to see you. How's the family? Whoa, I scrolled up too much. Just had a doe kindle 6, 1 died, and 15 quail hatch out of 28, and 2 died, but doing fairly well. Yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, 15 out of 28 is a little bit on the low side, but you only had 2 die off that, so that's not bad. That's doing pretty good. It's not uncommon to lose one rabbit from a litter either, so don't beat yourself up over that. Congratulations on your new rabbits and your birds, and hopefully everything else is going well with you too. All right, Rhonda says, I want to get a few turkeys this year, but was unable to find any, but still looking. I had an opportunity to buy a couple of turkeys. I had somebody offer me a good deal on turkeys, but it was one of my viewers that lives locally and came by and bought some eggs, I think it was, fertile eggs, and offered me an opportunity to buy a couple of turkeys. I had to turn it down. I can't have turkeys in town. There's just no way. A lot of the things I do are probably in the gray area as to whether they're allowed by the city ordinance or not. But the thing is that, the police aren't driving around looking for somebody to bust for raising a couple of chickens in their backyard or something. The only time you're going to have any problems is if neighbors complain, if you become a nuisance, if you're, not keeping things clean enough, if you're, all those kinds of things. If you become a nuisance to your neighbors or whatever and they complain, that's when you're going to get in trouble with it. And I can almost guarantee a couple of tom turkeys walking around and back there gobbling like crazy might draw just a little too much attention to me and might get somebody called on me. So I can't do turkeys. I wish I could. I'd love to raise one, but can't do it. All right. Fred says, anything you feed your quails other than high protein food on a regular? No, that's it. I just feed them a high protein game bird feed. That's it. That's all they get. Sometimes, I give them treats from time to time. The black soldier fly larvae that collect under their cage. Sometimes I'll throw some of those in their cage. But on a regular basis, no, just the high protein quail feed. All right, Renee says, don't breed in the heat of summer. It stresses the does and will kill the babies. Well, not necessarily kill the babies, but it could. And that depends a little bit, Renee, on the type of rabbit you have. I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think breeding in the heat of summer is hard on your rabbits. It's not good for them. But, Tamuk rabbits are a breed of New Zealand rabbit that were developed to be incredibly heat tolerant. People have reported very good luck with breeding them in the summer. I still don't know that I'd do it. Give them a break. You're talking June, July, and August. You can start breeding again in September and, breed the rest of the year. Give them a couple months off. Everybody needs a little bit of a break. All right, Amy, the little farmer, says, thank you for all you do, Chris. You're a great ambassador. Well, thank you. Says, had my first bumblefoot call After plucking, found about 2 inches around the vent was necrotic or dark brown. You know, that could happen. It could be, you know, like that. But a lot of the times the hens tend to have black coloration around their vent. It's not really anything to worry about. It's just normal. But it could have been, you know, like you said, some kind of infection setting in. Could have been, you know, definitely. And you said you didn't eat it. Yeah, well, if you're in doubt, definitely don't eat it. I'm not saying that, you know, it's usually nothing to worry about. Sometimes you do see that black coloration around the vent of the hens. It's not a big deal. It's normal. But if you're in doubt at all, don't eat it. That's your best practice. If in doubt, throw it out. It's not worth risking over. Anyway, hopefully that helps. And sorry to hear that you had to call for the bumblefoot. A lot of times bumblefoot can be treated. You know, bumblefoot is just, they've gotten some kind of foreign, you know, a piece of sand or a splinter or something like that, and it's caused it to abscess and start to get infected. And usually if you just can find what, you know, get whatever is in there out, they'll recover pretty well from that. Just clean it up, get whatever's in there out, clean it up real good. They usually do just fine, but not always. Sometimes it is worse. So anyway, all right, St. Pete says, thanks for all your great advice. Well, thank you. Where are we at here? IB says, hey Chris, I have some button quail and I was wondering if they can be in a all wire cage. Yeah, you should be able to keep them in an all wire cage. I don't see why not. You know, I don't know. Well, no, they should do fine. They should do fine. Watch them, you know, when you put them in there the first couple of days, you'll know whether they're doing well or not. It's just a matter of whether they can walk on there without getting their feet stuck in it and stuff. I don't see why they couldn't. I think they'll be fine. Give them a little sandbox somewhere they can get off the wire, and they should be fine. All right, Brad says, what's the best place to get hatching quail eggs? Well, Hatch Poultry Farms is a great place to get them. Kansas City Quail Farms is a great place to get them as well. Who else? Myshire Farms, they're great suppliers as well. There's lots of places. Any of the big names, common ones, you're going to have probably pretty good luck with. If you go through any of my most recent videos, not the live broadcast, but any of my regular videos, there's almost always a link down in the bottom to get a discount on Hatch Poultry Farms. So if you want to order from Hatch Poultry Farms, you can go to there, use that link and that discount code, and get, I think it's 15% off. So there's one place you can go. All right. Manny says, hey, Slightly Redneck, quick question. I have about 4 male jumbo Coturnics, and I don't have enough females for them. Can I house them together for about 2 weeks until I get more females? Sure. Yeah, you can do that. They might get a little bit rambunctious, but they should do fine. I wouldn't worry about it too much. All right, Verna says, you can even grow quail in an apartment. That's what I do. Yep, you can, absolutely. Requires a little bit more work. You just got to clean a little bit more frequently, but it can be done. All right. St. P says, also thanks for earlier how-to videos, i.e. how to tie knots, cage building, and so on. Well, thank you for watching them. I appreciate that. Those were, yeah, how to tie knots was an old video I did. I was pretty new to video making at the time, but I always think that's an essential skill. That's the thing that people need to know. And if you've ever, I mean, good grief. I see people all the time at the, Lowe's or something picking up like lumber and they're trying to tie it down in the back of the truck and they don't know what they're doing. And, not only is it dangerous, but, also they end up tying a knot that you're going to have to cut to get off the, a sign of a good knot is that it holds tight, it's secure, but it's easy to untie. And if you can't do that, learn a couple of knots. That's all you got to do. I think it's an important task, an important skill to know. But anyway, Aniela says, oh, and hi to you too, Kenneth. Aniela says, we tried our best gardening keeping chicken, and we started keeping rabbits with the great success. Hatched 7 new babies, and all the best. God bless you. All the best from Melbourne, Australia. I lost something, and thank you though, by the way. But I'm trying to read back through to see what I did. We tried our best gardening, keeping chickens, and we started keeping rabbits with great success. And then it says hatched 7 new babies. So I don't think you mean, I'm assuming you're talking about rabbits. The rabbits didn't hatch, but you had 7 new babies. So congratulations on that. Spencer says, I have my 2-week-old quail in the house, so temperature is pretty steady. How can I safely remove the heat lamp? Oh, 2-week-old quail. Yeah, 2-week-old quail should be pretty much feathered out at that point. I wean them off the heat lamp pretty quickly, really. Pull the heat lamp back a little bit, try to reduce the temperature in the brooder by 10 degrees, watch them. They might all huddle up under the heat lamp at first, but once they start spreading out and moving a little bit more evenly around, which will probably be a matter of a couple of hours, move it a little bit further away, or the next day, move it a little bit further away, reduce it by another 10 degrees. You might give them a day or two at that. Again, watch your birds. If they're huddling up under their heat lamp, they still need the warmth, but chances are they're going to be fine. Once you've down, lowered it by 10, 15, 20 degrees, you take the heat lamp off, they're fine. You can send them outside. That usually, to me, takes like 2 days, maybe 3. Fred says, my wife always helps chick, and I'm freaking out. Is that the second part to something? I don't know what you mean. Your wife always helps chick, and I'm freaking out. I'm sorry, Fred, I'm lost on that. I'm not sure what you're freaking out about, what she's helping them do. Are you talking about helping them hatch or something maybe? I'm not sure. All right, Gabriel says, great info. Let us know when you start a new worm bin. I need to do that. I've been thinking about it, but good grief, life's been busy lately. I'll grab another drink here. Work has been so incredibly busy. I'm putting in 12 or 13 hours a day on most days and starting at 4:30 or 5 in the morning. So that's why I haven't been real responsive on comments and things. And it's been tough to get back into the swing of things, but hopefully I'll start a new worm bin soon, and yeah, I'll shoot some video on that when I do. All right, Todd says, hey, Chris from Chicago, how old should a doe be before breeding? Good question. About 6 months is generally how old you want your does to be, unless they're a giant breed like a Flemish giant. They want to get a little bit closer to 8 months or something like that, but most of them, 6 months is a good age to start breeding them. All right, Kenneth says, do the quail poop stink? Vernia Young, are you asking somebody specifically? Is that somebody named Vernia Young, or is that a is that a typo of some kind? Well, yeah, quail poop can stink. Honestly, it's not too bad as long as you keep it dry. If you get it wet, that's another story. So if you don't have if you have a water system that kind of leaks a little bit, it's going to be bad, But if you can keep it dry, it's not too bad. And I guess how much they stink is kind of subjective. It's how much you can tolerate. I have them outside by my backyard, and my neighbors didn't even know I had quail. It's not like bad, terrible stink that just carries on. It's not like chickens; they're not quite as bad. But yeah, if you get it wet, it's pretty rough. All right. Keto Cutie says, last time I was here, I had 7 kits. Now I have 11 total. Awesome. Won't breed again till fall. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm not breeding again till fall. All right. Fred says, it's hot here, so I add my 2-week-old quails with the rest. Yep, that's what I do. In the summertime, they move out to the grow-out pens with the older birds at about 2 weeks old, 2.5 weeks, somewhere right around in there. They're ready to go. They just go right in the hutches with the other birds. All right, Vernon is talking to Kenneth, so I'm going to skip that one. Fred says, yes, north near Quincy, Illinois. I'm not sure. I think that was a response to somebody else. Watermelon Production says, hey, Chris, how is your sale with baby quail, and how much do you sell them for? I don't sell quail all the time. I occasionally do offer up some birds for sale. And I usually will, it depends on how old they are. Usually about $1, $1 for newborns up to about 3 or 4 days old. Then it goes to $2. And when they get to 3 weeks, it goes to $3, 4 weeks, $4, 5 weeks, $5. And from there on out, it's about $5, $6 a bird if they're over 5 weeks old. So that's, and I have a pretty decent luck selling them. I don't sell out of every hatch because if I did, I wouldn't have any quail for myself. But I do tend to sell, I'll try to sell, like if I have a batch of like 60 or 70 birds that hatch, I might sell like 10 or 15 of those, and that helps pay for the feed costs for the rest of the birds. Then the rest of them are mine. I keep them to myself. So, and I just do it on Craigslist. I just pop an ad up on Craigslist. If somebody buys some, great. If not, no big deal. The last couple of times I got, the first time I've had bad luck with quail this year. The first time I incubated this year, I hatched them out. I had somebody come and buy all of them. And that was okay. That wasn't a big deal. I collected eggs, hatched out again, got a decent hatch, had them all in the brooder. And the day I was going to go out and put them out in the grow-out pens, you guys probably saw the video. I left the shed door open, wasn't paying much attention. The dog got in there and just chased them all and basically chased them all to death. And I got 5 birds out of there I think I had 45 that hatched, and I got 5. So pretty bad luck. But anyway, I got eggs in the incubator now. They'll hatch out in about a week and a half, and we'll start all over again. No big deal. It's a great thing about quail. It doesn't take long to boost up your numbers pretty quick. All right. Renee says, my buck had fleas when I got him. I dusted them all over with DE and haven't seen any evidence since. That's a good use for DE, probably. I would say I don't like to use diatomaceous earth on a regular basis. I know lots of people use it all the time for preventative stuff. I don't like to use preventative stuff. I say preventative stuff. I don't like to use anything preventative that's like a chemical or anything like that. And I know DE is not a chemical, but it does, it could cause some respiratory issues with them. I'm not going to say it will, but it could. So I personally don't like to use it. Also, it's a broad spectrum killer. It kills everything. So, now I'm not against, like you said, you got fleas, you need to get rid of them, do it. But I just wouldn't use it on a regular basis on them. So anyway, Brad says, I've hatched out 2 silkies and both of them have 5 toes on each foot. 5 toes on each foot. Interesting. Okay. Amy, the little farmer, says processed 6 Cornish last week between 11 ounces and 7. Oh, Cornish. Okay. 6 pound, 11 ounces and 7 pound, 14 ounces. And that is fully dressed out. Good luck, not too hard. Yeah, I'm not worried about, no, thank you very much, by the way. I appreciate that. Those are pretty good sized birds. I'm not worried about it being too hard. I have butchered chickens before, but it has been a while. Like I said, it's probably been, 35 years or so. So I imagine, it's a little bit different now. Who knows? We'll try it. But, I'm not worried about it being too hard. I'm sure I'll be able to handle it. No problem. It's just like processing anything else for the most part. All right. Cockeyed Homestead says thyroid cancer for the 2nd time. Man, I'm sorry about that. My wife has actually been through thyroid cancer too, long before I knew her. 20 years ago, she beat that. So, hang in there, buddy. Thyroid cancer is one that you can usually beat. So hang in there, and you're going to be able to get through that. All right. Fred says, I got chicks in March. Should they be laying already? God is good. I agree. God is good. In March. What is this? March, April, May. Oh yeah, they should be laying already right now. If they're not, if you've got them, in a place where they're not getting full light, and I don't mean like blazing sunlight, but if you've got them like in a garage or a shed that maybe is all closed up and kind of dark inside, you might try to add some light. That's the biggest thing that usually gets them laying. But yeah, they should be laying by now. All right, and 14 hours a day. 14 hours a day of light is what they need. All right, Kenneth says, I incubate quail eggs at 99.1 for a still air incubator. Well, your incubator, and if you're having good luck with that, good, keep doing it. Don't change it. But your incubator thermometer may be off a little bit. It may actually be 100 or 101 degrees in there, but it's just reading at 99.1. But hey, if it's working for you, keep doing it. All right. Cindy says, Fred Vardo, it depends on, what are we talking about? Fred Bardo, it says, I think it's Yardo. It depends on the breed. Sometimes my New Jersey Giants started at 6 months. The hatchery said it would be 6 months, and they were correct. What am I missing? Oh, wait a minute. Fred, were you not talking about quail when you said I got your chicks in March? If you're talking about chickens, yeah, that's different. Chickens would be, and New Jersey Giants, or those are bob white, I believe. So what I'm talking about is Coturnix quail. Coturnix quail start laying usually 8 to 12 weeks. Bob whites do take a little bit longer. Chickens take a little bit longer too. I may have misread that comment and answered it incorrectly, so I'm sorry. All right, Gingerbeard says, I'm in the process of obtaining 2 goats for cleaning up some overgrown land, breeding for food and milk. Awesome. Sounds like a great use for it. Oh, okay, you meant forced air. It's not a still air, it's a forced air. Well, again, it may be a little bit off. It may actually be 100 degrees in there, even though it only reads 99.1. I tend to set mine at 99.5. I just tell everybody 100. Honestly, the half a degree difference isn't that big of a deal. But so I just tell everybody 100. It's a little bit easier. But yeah, I tend to do it at 99.5, which really your thermostat doesn't keep it exactly that temperature all the time. What happens is, it cools down a little bit. It kicks the heater on. It heats it back up a little bit, and then it gets to a certain temperature. It kicks the heater off, cools down a little bit. So it's fluctuating back and forth, probably between about 99 and 100, and it just maybe even 101 and 98 down. Bounces back and forth. Just as long as the average is around 100 degrees. You're going to be pretty good. You just don't want to go 102 average or 98 average. You want to be an average of about 100 degrees. Fred says, I got Rhode Island Reds and Astrolips. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Then no, it's going to be about 6 months probably before they'll start laying. Bernard says, Chris, I have found since eating quail, I do not like store-bought chicken. It is tasteless compared to quail. Yeah, that is the curse of getting expanding your palate a little bit. If you've never eaten quail too much and you start eating them again, or start eating them and you get used to that flavor, because they have a lot more flavor than chicken. Now, I will say that chicken is not completely tasteless. Chicken breast is generally pretty tasteless. Store-bought chicken breast anyway. But chicken thighs are usually pretty good. Get the darker meat, the fattier pieces. They're a lot better. But yeah, quail has got a lot more flavor to it for sure. All right. Kenneth says, Verna Young, how old are your quail that you're raised in your apartment? I'm going to skip a couple of these. You guys are talking back and forth to each other, which is perfectly fine with me, but we've got 10 minutes left, so I'm going to move past that. Layla, hi from Washington State. Hello. Gingerbeard says, hey, Chris, if a bred doe doesn't kindle, how long do you wait to rebreed? At least 35 days after she was bred. Most does will have babies within 30 days, but some of them go to 35 days. It's not that uncommon at all. I would personally give her 38 days just to kind of be sure before I bred her again. All right. Kenneth says, and they don't stink, Verna Young. Okay, Rhonda, there's comments back and forth. How often do you clean the poop? I think you guys are talking to your own conversation. If you're asking how often I clean up my quail poop underneath the hutches, I don't do it very often. I do it a couple of times a year. Usually once or twice in the fall and the winter, and then I can almost go all summer long without having to worry about it. I may have to do it one time in the summer, but what I typically have happen is black soldier flies move in and they start laying their eggs under my hutches, and then I get black soldier fly larvae down there, and those are composting machines. I mean, it's insane. But they keep all that quail poop composted down all summer long, and I don't have to worry about it. So it's pretty nice. All right. Renee says, I live in southern Alabama. That's why I said no breeding in the summer. Yeah, I don't blame you. It gets hot here too, I know. Verna says, nope, it's take carrying. Okay, you guys are carrying on conversations. I'm going to skip it. So if I missed your comment, I'm sorry. Amy the Little Farmer, I need to try to lance and drain the bumblefoot, but it was layered. Oh, I tried to lance and drain, but it was layered, deep, and very large. Too gross to talk about here. Yeah, I understand. Sometimes it gets that way, unfortunately. Troy says, I'm new, saying hi. Hello, Troy. Thanks for joining us. Matthew, good evening, Chris. I had one of my 9 quail passed, have 8 healthy females, 12 eggs in the incubator, have 11 days left. I'm hoping for the best. Good luck with that. I hope it works out well. And let's see, you've got 9 quail. You have 8 healthy ones still left. So, and you only put 12 eggs in the incubator. Save them up for about 4 or 5 days. Get a big group of them in there next time. But, hey, good luck with your hatch. Hopefully it goes well. All right. Jay Huckabee says no tracking with Hatch Poultry Farms. I'm not sure what that means. You mean no tracking code? They don't give you a tracking code when you order from them? Is that what you're saying? Well, they should be able to. But anyway, I'm not sure. All right, Aniela says, you missed the first part of my comments. I'm sorry, what was it? Ask again. Hopefully I'll get to it pretty quick. Rhonda, okay. MZ says, I just wanted to ask if medicated game bird starter is fine because I can only find medicated feed in my area and online. And also, how long should I feed it for? Okay, assuming we're talking about quail, I feed all my quail a game bird starter. Medicated is okay, but I personally don't like to use it for long term. Medicated is just, it's not like an antibiotic or a drug or anything like that. Basically, it's a protein, I think it is. I can't remember the name of it. It starts with an A, Anna something. Anyway, it's a protein that is a thiamine blocker to help block, I think it's thiamine blocker. I may be getting this wrong, but what it does is it helps block the development of coccidiosis, the parasite coccidiosis. So it's fine to feed them for a little while. You could actually, the FDA says there's no withdrawal time. So you can eat the eggs, you can eat the meat. Now, me personally, I don't want to do that. So I get a non-medicated feed. You might check with your feed stores. Just ask them if they can order it in for you. Look for a turkey starter if you can't find a game bird starter. It's pretty much the same thing. So those are a couple options that you can do. But if you want to feed, if that's all you can find and you're feeding it to your birds, it's okay. You can eat the meat, you can eat the birds, you can eat the eggs. It's going to be fine. It doesn't have any kind of ill effect on humans. All right. Rhonda says, Vernon Young, okay. Oh, Fred's saying she helps them hatch, mostly the quail. Yeah, well, she's lucky that's working. It doesn't usually work very well, but Yeah, I can imagine freaking out while she's doing it, huh? All right, and Annie Ellis says, we tried to incubate quails with the luck of success. So we tried to incubate quails with the luck of success. So we started rabbits. What we done wrong with quails, we don't know. Following your structures, we need to revise the inform. So you had bad luck with incubating your quails. Check your incubator temperature. That's usually the main thing that goes wrong with them. That would be the first place I would start. So, well, good luck with your rabbits. Hopefully that works. I'm sorry I missed your comment earlier and didn't get it answered. I think that was probably your response to that, to leave me the rest of that. Again, start with checking your incubator temperature. Make sure that it's accurate. That's the biggest thing that usually causes poor hatch rates. All right, Nicholas says, hi, Slightly Redneck. Good to catch you again. Well, hello to you. Thanks for joining. Pierre says, God bless you, Chris, from North Korea. Our eggs are in lockdown. Send us prayers. Good luck with your hatch. I hope it goes well. All right. Mac is from Germany. Hello to you, Mac. All right, Fred says, oh, no, I scrolled way down. Fred says, DE can cause respiratory problems with humans. I think so. Yeah, it can. I mean, it doesn't necessarily will, but it's probably not good to use all the time. Oh, Aaron says, I can't stay for the whole show, but please take a question. Well, you pretty much are here for the whole show. I'm not sure how long ago you asked this, but let me see if I can get it. Is it okay to harvest rabbits in the summer? Yeah. We never hunted wild ones in the summer due to boars. Thanks. Yeah, you can do that. Wild ones is a little bit different. There could be a lot of problems with them, but your domesticated rabbits shouldn't be on the ground. They should be up in cages, probably are up in cages. And assuming they are, they're not going to be in contact with the ground to pick up some of those parasites and things like that. Should be fine. I wouldn't worry about it. All right. Dixie Living Homestead says silkies are supposed to be 5-toed. Well, I didn't know that. I wondered it, but I didn't know it. So anyway, Cortez says, do you plan on getting any more rabbits? No, not necessarily. I might at some point, replacements for these maybe. But no, I don't have any plans necessarily to get more rabbits at this point. So who knows? We'll see. All right, Gary B says, good evening. Been listening. My new quail have started laying, getting extra egg about every other day. But yeah, hot heat index today was like 108. Ooh, that's a little bit hotter than here. Yeah, my quail are laying like crazy right now. I mean, we're like 3 days past the summer solstice. So, the longest days, the equinox anyway, I should say, that so the days have gotten longer and longer and longer. And we've got long daylight today, and the eggs are just, boom, producing. So I usually get an extra egg about every other day or so too. But 108, we haven't been quite that bad. I think our highest, we've been running about 100 heat index, but not 108. All right. Gingerbeard says, hey, Chris, off the wall question. I noticed in a video you carry a sidearm. What kind is it? I carry a Taurus G2C. I carry a Springfield XD subcompact, 9mm. That's my choice. All right, Aaron says, harvest rabbits in the summer. Yeah, summer solstice, quail eggs, craziness. Yeah, I was just saying the same thing, wasn't I? I was getting about 17 a day, but on Saturday, solstice day, I got 25. Yeah, it's crazy. Max says, do you know which quail breed have white eggs? I get some white eggs from time to time. I don't know of any that lay white eggs on every time. There is a gene, a celadon gene, that will cause them to lay blue eggs, which are kind of a blue-green, but they're solid colored. They're not speckled like most of the, or they don't have splotches on them like most quail eggs do. That'd be about the closest thing I know. And, celadon is just a gene that some quail carry that causes them to lay those types of eggs. GM, you made it. Almost the end. We're about done here. We only got a couple of minutes left, but thanks for joining. I Live to Suffer says, I'm looking forward to trying quail and eggs. I had my first hatch of 18 to 30 celadon eggs about 2 weeks ago. Thanks for all the great information and helping me get into quail and rabbits. Well, awesome. Congratulations, and thank you for watching. All right. Oh, Mac, yes, you're telling the same thing. The celadon gene has pale blue eggs. You're right. Zach says, just hatched 15 to 22 quail on my first try. Thanks for your helpful videos. Awesome. Congratulations and well done there. Fred says, my dream is to sell quail to hunting preserves. How many quails would you suggest to keep on hand? Boy, I don't know. I mean, it depends on what if you're going to be selling to hunting preserves, you're going to probably want to do bobwhite quail. You're going to need to get a permit from your conservation department in order to raise them. It's not usually too hard to get and not that expensive, but you're going to need to do that. As far as how many to go, don't go crazy right at first. See if you've got a market for it first. See if, yeah, and then it's just going to matter on supply and demand. How many birds are there? I don't know much about hunting preserves that are buying quail, so I don't know how many birds they buy at a time, how often they want them. I don't know that I can answer that one for you, but I'm sorry, I can't answer that one. That one's out of my area of expertise. Gingerbeard says, does the incubator temperature have any effect on the gender of the chicks that hatch? Not in the way you would think. It can, in the sense that slightly warmer temperatures, I forget. I did a video on this a long time ago. One way or the, I may be wrong on the direction I'm saying, but slightly warmer temperatures cause it more likely for your roosters to hatch, and slightly cooler temperatures are more likely for your hens to hatch, or maybe it's the other way around. But it doesn't change the gender of the chicks in the egg. It just means that if you've got favorable temperatures for the roosters to hatch, and it is slightly warmer, favorable for the roosters, then the chicks won't the hens won't hatch, and they just end up dying. So it's not like you change the gender of the birds, but you can kind of affect the outcome of what your hatch is. It's not a guarantee. It's just it can make a little bit of a difference. All right. Cockeyed Homestead says, good night, I'll be blessed. I mean, yeah, I'm about the same way. I got to get this wrapped up here, guys. So one more question, because it looks like there's a lot of back and forth between you guys. One more comment, and then I've got to wrap it up, go spend some time with the family. To live is to suffer says, I ended up having to buy Purina Stratina. Does anyone else have any experience with it? Yeah, it's a perfectly fine food. There's no problem with it. I know lots of people that use it, and it works just fine for them. So I wouldn't worry about it. I don't have personal experience with it, but everybody else that uses it says it's great. So I wouldn't worry about it. I think it'd be fine. All right, guys, I got to get this wrapped up. Look at that. I almost got to the end. Oh, no. One more question. We're almost at the end here. I'll just answer one more or two more. We'll see. Jay Huckabee says, I've been waiting on my order from Hatch Poultry since April. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. I know that's tough. It's pretty much like that with most hatcheries right now. They're just behind. There's just too many orders coming in. Hopefully they'll get to you pretty quick. And I'm sorry to hear that you're having those problems. GM just purchased my first 3 rabbits. I have 3, but sadly I missed the video on crossbred versus purebred rabbits. Hey, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It'll be fine. Congratulations on your new rabbits, by the way. Emily says, Emily probably says, I had 48 of 69 hatch from my quail and had so much problem with the incubator. Broke 2 times. 1 week using a lamp to incubate and finally get an incubator for the last 5 days. Wow, you had a really good hatch rate considering all that. Well done. Oh, yeah, Rhonda, you're right. Bob White can lay white eggs. There you go. And Baby Dank says, started raising quail because of your channel. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for watching. All right, guys, I got to get this wrapped up. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining today. God bless each and every one of you. Hopefully we'll see you guys again here next week. Take care and good night.